your digestion stops. One of the easiest and fastest things I can tell everybody to do right now that will make a world of difference is to take 9 deep, calm yourself down, take 9 deep breaths. It's proven. Because then we looked at what's the fastest way to get your body from sympathetic to parasympathetic. 9 deep breaths. They studied it. Meditation is awesome, but before you eat at night and you sit down at the dinner table, don't eat while you're driving, all that stuff. You need to be able to process and digest your foods, and you need to be in a parasympathetic state. If you have kids, get them used to it now. Sit around the dinner table and just hold hands and just say, we're going to relax a little bit, take 9 deep breaths. Now we can all say something positive, bless our food, blah, 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 and then eat. And I guarantee you'll notice a big difference. You won't get that bloating, you won't be all strained and all that. So how do you eliminate toxins from physical, emotional, and spiritual stress? No, not take antidepressants. You do things that are exciting. You know what? I used to ask the patients that came in to see us, I'd be like, so what do you do for fun? And they would just sit there and start crying. Seriously, they would be, I don't know. I'll say, what makes you happy? And they would say, I don't know. I mean, that is why they're sitting there sick, because they have no excitement and happiness and love in their life. That's like the best healing medicine you can get right there. Here's some of the things: exercise, massage, sunlight. These are the things that actually cause you to decrease stress naturally, anxiety, having fun, hobbies, doing stuff like that. Music, relaxation, meditation, learning about self, setting goals, adequate sleep. I mean, that's huge. That'll affect your stress levels big time. What it all boils down to is your health, because if you think back to the time in your life where you were the most self-confident, when you looked in the mirror and you were like, wow, I look good today, I'm gonna have fun. Usually I ask people that and they're like, yeah, that was when I was like 14, 12, something like that. I was like, yeah, you had a lot of self-confidence then, did you? Yeah, like, yeah. I was like, you could just do anything you put your mind to back then, huh? And they're like, yeah. Well, health, they were healthy back then. Health equals self-confidence, and self-confidence equals success. I mean, that's how you're successful in your life. This is something that I hope everybody takes, because I deal with these phone calls every single day, and it's getting worse and worse. The DSM is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual that the psychiatrists use to label mental illness. There's never been any proof of mental illness. There's 943 pages that lists out 374 mental disorders. That's a $330 billion industry. Psychiatric drugs kill an estimated 3,000 people every month. 17 million children are taking psychiatric drugs so dangerous, like antidepressants, for example, that cause suicide and hostility in children and adolescents. There are parents and moms that call my office, and I almost start crying when I talk to them. Their teachers recommended, they were acting up, they were depressed because they broke up with their boyfriend. 12-year-old girl. Her mom took her in, they put her on antidepressants. 5 days later, she committed suicide in her closet. That's one. Thousands it's happening to. FDA issued a warning about drugs such as Adderall, Ritalin, Concerta can cause suicidal as well as violent, aggressive, and psychotic behavior, and can cause heart attack, stroke, and sudden death. They have mental disorders now for like fingernail biting, looking at somebody the wrong way. I mean, basically, if you don't get a drug when you leave the psychiatrist's office, they have a code that labels you for mental ill because you didn't take the drug from the psychiatrist. Yes, you will be labeled with mental illness if you leave the psychiatrist's office without taking a medication. And that goes on your record forever. So then if anyone ever pulls anything up, right now, by the time our kids get to be 18, everybody's going to have mental illness. They're going to have a record of mental illness. Right now, there are children 5 years old committing suicide. That is on record. And there are 4-year-olds being put on psychotropic drugs. That is sick. So, the next time a doctor tells you you need to, or the teacher or somebody in the school tells you something's wrong with your kid or that you're having problems, it's not you're having problems and you're mentally ill. What the problem is, you're eating GMOs, you're eating excitotoxin somewhere, you're consuming any one of these things, fluoride, all that stuff. You need to start looking at your environment. Because I work with the Autism Association too, and a lot of times the kids with autism are just toxic. That's it. So body toxins from electromagnetic and microwave radiation. Heavy users of cell phones displayed a 240% increased risk for a malignant tumor on the side of the head where they typically held the phone. You're going to be exposed to EMFs and stuff a lot of different places. Big screen TVs, computers, the Wi-Fi in schools. They're taking Wi-Fi out of schools in Europe because of so many complaints from the parents because their kids are having a hard time concentrating. They're complaining of headaches. A child's skull is really thin, so they half the size or more than an adult skull. So the frequencies pass easily into the child's brain, especially kids now that you see with cell phones that are 12 and under. Really, you don't get the thickness until you're about 15 or 16, maybe even up to 18. There's plenty of documentation out there on this as well. You can just type in dangers of Wi-Fi in schools. Digital clocks, power lines, smart meters is the new thing that's causing all kinds of damage. Smart meters, from what I hear, there's going to be an opt-out option, but if you have a smart meter on your house, I would highly, highly recommend. They're going to be bombarding high-level microwave frequencies throughout your whole house with those smart meters. They can tell exactly when you turn on the lights. They can tell exactly what appliances you're using. They want to learn every single thing about you so they can sell it to the big companies in advertising and stuff like that. Fault lines, geopathic stress, sedentary lifestyle. Mammograms, ladies, please do not go get mammograms. Thermography is a better option. You don't want to radiate your breast tissue. CT scans, there's always better options. You can get an MRI, no contrast, which is a better option than a CT when they inject you with all the radiation stuff. And please, the airport scanners, even though they tell you, the TSA says, oh, these airport scanners are safe, and everybody just walks through, and I go there, I'm like, I cannot believe this. That in order to see that high level of distinction, you get bombarded with ionizing radiation. They will not release any tests because it's under Homeland Security and TSA and all that show. But I know people that work for the companies and they're saying they would never get inside of it. So if you go to the airport, all you have to say is opt out. I want to opt out. And you'll be able to opt out of that body scanner. Each time you go through that body scanner, what I've heard is the equivalent of like 10 to 15 x-rays. Nuclear radiation, I put this on because it's definitely something that's not in the mainstream media, but we are getting calls every single day from parents and doctors, especially in California and the upper Northwest, from seeing birth defects. All kinds of stuff is happening from Fukushima. You can go to the National Oceanic website and actually see all the radiation in the water. But it's something that you need to be aware of. There's some radiation particles. This is nuclear radiation. This is the stuff that has a serious effect on your DNA and on your genes. And how to protect yourself from that. I'm actually coming out with a new product pretty soon, a pill that you can take that will absorb strontium-90, cesium, and your uranium particles. And for the radioactive iodine, which is iodine-131, the best thing to do is take a nascent iodine. Everybody needs to supplement with their vitamins and minerals and stuff like that. And I'm more about, look, let's address the root cause of why you have problems. And that's why a lot of the practitioners always recommend, go see your natural healthcare practitioner, go see your chiropractor, because you really need somebody to walk you through and help you with everything and, kind of guide you. And if you need some different types of supplements, that's fine. But first of all, the first thing you should always do is cleanse the body. I mean, a lot of times after you go through a deep cleansing, 50% of your symptoms go away, and then the real stuff starts coming up. That's another thing that we found was, If a patient comes in and you're looking at their symptoms right here, if you say, what are your symptoms? I headache, this, that. Well, doctors are going to go right off of those symptoms. That's not really what's going on in your body. We found that out. I didn't even know that. We found that out because we would take a complete history, a detailed history, which the average time spent with physicians is less than 7 minutes. How are you going to find out what's wrong with somebody in that amount of time? We'd take like a 2-hour history of the patient. Yeah, where do you go? Do you go overseas? This, that. Find out everything about them. Then get their symptoms. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clean you out really good. You know, you're 50 years, you've been damaging your body, let's just clean you. Clean them out really, really good. Then we say, okay, let's go back and do another health questionnaire after you're done cleansing. Those symptoms that were there to begin with, most of them were gone. And then all of a sudden, like maybe some new things popped up. That was like, it's like peeling an onion. That was like the real stuff that was happening. So that means that like all the people out there that are going to the doctor's office and telling them their symptoms, that's just what's on the outside. And that's what they're being treated for, instead of being cleaned up really good and finding out what the real problem is. One thing, though, that I found, and other doctors will tell you the same thing if they do a bunch of tests, is that practically every single person is iodine deficient. And it is such a vital nutrient. It used to be an iodized salt, but they took it out a long time ago and replaced it with bromine. Bromine, here, and this is why so many people are having endocrine and thyroid issues, and this is why you can't lose weight, and a million other things. Because iodine is part of a halogen. That's bromine, chlorine, fluorine, bromide, and iodine. Look at all the chlorine out there. Look at all the fluoride out there. Look at all the bromine. They replaced, I took iodine out and put bromine in white bread years ago and took it out of the salt in most cases. So basically, any amount of the vapor can continually harm you over and over and over, and you can have fatigue and cancer, and you can have brain problems and lymphoma and all different types of problems.
So all mercury silver fillings leak substantial amounts of mercury constantly. The amount increases with any kind of stimulation, and as a result, mercury from fillings produces the majority of human exposure to mercury. The International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology is extremely concerned about the anecdotal claims of safety by manufacturers and dental trade associations that are at variance with the published peer-reviewed scientific evidence to the contrary. The precautionary principle requires action once the possibility of harm exists. It does not require proof beyond a shadow of a doubt that in the case of heavy metal and xenobiotic exposure is both nearly impossible and unnecessary, in our opinion. What you're seeing is mercury vapor coming off a 25-year-old silver amalgam filling in an extracted tooth. The background is a phosphorescent screen. The mercury vapor absorbs the fluorescent light, and you can see it as a shadow on the screen. This is mercury coming off a filling that was dipped in water that's the same temperature as the human body. This is a filling that was rubbed with a pencil eraser for just a few seconds. Like going to the hygienist and having her clean your teeth. These are not small amounts of mercury. If you can see it, it's more than 1,000 times higher than the Environmental Protection Agency will allow for the air that we breathe. What about the last time you went to the dentist and they drilled on your tooth? Here is the mercury vapor every time you raise the temperature to 110 degrees with hot coffee or warm water, or even chewed on it. Mercury comes off fillings every time you stimulate them, and that stimulation causes the mercury to continue to leak out of the fillings for an hour and a half at a minimum. Some people grind their teeth. Some people chew gum. The dentist might send an old gold crown to the dental lab to be welded. How about the dental personnel? They're not being given informed consent.
What happens is you're constantly absorbing that mercury vapor into your brain and into your bloodstream, and mercury accumulates in the liver, it accumulates in the kidneys, causes kidney disease. It's just one more thing that you're taking in on a regular basis. So I thought that was pretty shocking because, how many people do you know that drink coffee, or grind their teeth or whatever? So I highly recommend getting your mercury amalgams taken out, but when you do it, you have to go to a professional dentist that knows how to do it properly. People are going down to Mexico and doing it, and they're getting paralyzed from the waist down because mercury, if you breathe too much too fast, will paralyze you. So I like Dr. Glaros if you're in Houston. He's one of the best. He's biologicaldentist.com. People come from all over the world to see him, and he does all my work, but I don't have any mercury amalgams. So the next one is the body toxins from blocked neurological feedback. This is when the body produces toxins, and from spinal malfunction, auto accidents. I mean, everybody's had like a fall, got jolted around before, they've had some trauma or there's some surgery. Obesity causes this, chronic tooth infection causes malfunction. Any of this can cause blockages in the neurological system, in the spine or somewhere, to where you're not getting the proper signals from your nerves to your organs so your organs can function properly. So how to eliminate toxins from neurological feedback? Chiropractic adjustments, massage, stretching, chi machine works pretty good, acupuncture, inversion table where you lean upside down. Weight loss is one of the best ways to just get that extra weight off you. Rebounding, yoga, Pilates, keeping your mouth clean, no fluoride toothpaste. But one thing that I really like is oil pulling, and we've used that for a long time with either, I like to use sesame oil one day and then maybe mix in some coconut oil another day. But oil pulling is great. It's where you switch the oil around in your mouth from anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, and then you spit it out and rinse your mouth out. And what it does is it takes and pulls all the toxins from your blood and chemicals and cleans your mouth, and in some cases even whitens your teeth with coconut oil. Solutions to reactivate your self-healing mechanism, because that's really what we're all talking about, is the self-healing mechanism, is education. Find out about what's causing your self-healing mechanism to be suppressed. And then detoxification and cellular cleansing. This is the key, because, obviously, I talk to people who are like, I don't have the money to do all that. I can't do all that stuff. It's always about money. I got to buy a water purification system, this. It's baby steps. Start doing one thing at a time. The next time you need salt, get Himalayan crystal salt. The next time you need, constantly, it's like there's a big, long staircase of health, okay? And you're right here. Every day, are you going down one step of health, the stair of health, or are you staying there, or are you going up one stair? 1 month, you say, okay, well, I'm going to replace, I'm going to stop eating GMOs, I'm going to do gluten, I'm going to do that. Actually, I don't recommend you do everything at once because it's too traumatic. You just start slowly, let's say this week you're going to eliminate artificial sweeteners from your diet. Boom, you just walked up 3 steps. This week, you're going to the store, you're going to buy organic instead of going to your normal store. That's huge. You just went up like 1,000 steps. But it's all about, making those changes. Next weekend, take the whole family out to, a plant store and ask the person there, what are good indoor plants that I can use, for my area. And they'll say, okay, yeah, these work really good. Does the sun come through the window? Yeah, I have one window there. And they'll help you out. Then that weekend, put plants in your house. So all you're doing is eventually you're getting healthier and healthier and healthier and healthier, and you're making all these changes. If you want to make all of them at once, go ahead and do it. But you have to continually cleanse your body. Do an intestinal cleansing, liver and gallbladder cleansing, kidney cleansing, chemical and toxic metal cleansing, parasite cleansing. The reason I put weekly intestinal cleansing on there is because that's where everything comes in. And if you're constipated, that's what has to be cleaned on a weekly basis. You don't have to do it every day, but I recommend using oxygen-based cleansers, because all the herbal-based cleansers out there, like the psyllium, cascara, all that, can cause permanent damage to the bowel. The laxative industry is $1 billion a year industry. $1 billion, it's one of the biggest industries that there is. So, doing all those cleanses, we have our cleanses online, but research it. If your doctor has cleanses, that's great. I mean, I'm not saying you need to do all my stuff. All I'm saying is this is the key to health. This is the secret to health, right here. The earth cleanses itself on a regular basis. You can look, we've lost all this. I mean, okay, you take a shower every day to rinse the outside of your body, but what are you doing to rinse the inside of your body? Just think if you were to take everything you eat for a day, the normal standard American diet, mix it all up and blend it in a trash can, all the coffees, the 62-ounce cola, the cheesecake, all that, mix it in there, the bottle of wine, and then pour it all over the top of you. And then let it sit, do the same thing every day for 40 years. That's the kind of stuff that the inside of our body is having to deal with, but nobody's talking about cleansing the inside of your body on a regular basis. And that is what, once you cleanse your body and keep your body clean, then your self-healing mechanism starts to kick in. But it's about changing your environment and reducing your stress. Supplementation, and then the external support, the chiropractic, the massage, and then eating a healthy diet. And then the last thing is opening up your elimination routes, so you can get the stuff out of your system. The more healthy you eat, the more water you drink is automatically going to improve your bowel movements and your urination. You're going to be exercising more. If you don't want to do hardcore exercise, use a rebounder. That's going to, make you breathe a little bit faster. It's going to open up elimination routes. That's why a lot of women, their menstrual cycles are irregular. That's a telltale sign that they're toxic and they need to start cleaning themselves up. When we had so many people that contacted us for fertility, they would say, I spent, $200,000 in the last 4 years. We can't get pregnant. I said, you'll be pregnant in 3 months. Go through this intestinal cleanse, go through this liver and gallbladder cleanse, go through this parasite cleanse. I always use chemical and heavy metal cleansing for last because I don't want to pull too many chemicals and heavy metals out unless the liver's already clean and can handle it. And every single time, not one case, after they just cleaned their body, they were pregnant within 90 days. Now, why do you think the body doesn't get pregnant? Do you think the body wants a child coming in that's toxic? No, it doesn't. It's that simple. We went over the elimination routes, how a healthy body eliminates toxins. People are waking up and doing more research because they're going to the doctor and they're not getting answers. And now, thank God for the internet, because you can actually look up your symptoms and everything. But people are going to the doctor and saying, well, can I take this herb with this medication, or can I take this? And the doctor doesn't know. So, doctors, you and everybody else out there are actually changing the world, because doctors now are being forced into learning about, they're not learning this yet, but this was one of the biggest seminars for doctors that I just did out in California, and there was 4,000 doctors in the audience that actually wanted to learn this information. That would have never happened 10 years ago. And I did basically the same thing. I did the same thing today that I did there a couple months ago. So it's great that everything's working out. We're going into that addressing the root cause of disease instead of addressing the symptoms of disease.